You wouldn't believe what Yabhasirati is cooking for everyone to eat every day.
In the city of Osogbo, there lived a woman called Yabhasirati. She was a food vendor, and her small restaurant stood beside the busy old market road. Every morning, by 6 a.m., she would open her shop, light her charcoal stove, and begin cooking. The smell of her food filled the air. Sweet stew, soft amala, hot ewedu, and tender meat that melted in the mouth. Everybody loved her food. Taxi drivers, market women, students, civil servants, they all lined up in front of her shop daily. "Yabhasirati, abeg, give me one wrap of fufu and meat," one man would say. "Add small pepper for me," another woman would shout. Her food was always delicious. Some people even said that her stew could wake a dead man. People admired her. They said she was hardworking, humble, and always smiling. But behind that smile was a dark secret. No one really knew much about Yabhasirati's past. She had moved into the neighborhood 5 years ago with her only daughter, Basirat, a quiet teenage girl who rarely spoke to anyone. They said her husband had died mysteriously in their former town, and she had come to Osogbo to start a new life. At first, business was slow. For months, people barely bought from her. But one evening, after she traveled to a small village called Oke Osun, everything changed. When she returned, her food suddenly began to taste different, sweeter, richer, more satisfying than before. People who had once ignored her now couldn't get enough. Within a few weeks, her shop was always full. Even the market women who sold food nearby began to lose customers to her. Some grew jealous and whispered among themselves, "Na juju she dey use o. How can food suddenly become this sweet overnight?" Another one added. But Yabhasirati would just laugh and say, "It's the grace of God, my sister. Na God dey bless my hand." Every night, she locked her shop carefully before going home. Nobody ever saw where she bought her meat or fish from. She always said she had her own supplier who delivered early before dawn. But at night, when the whole neighborhood was fast asleep, Yabhasirati became a different person. The woman everyone loved during the day, cheerful, friendly, and always smiling, disappeared completely. Once the clock struck midnight, she would quietly bolt her door from inside, shut all her windows, and blow out the lamp so no one could see what she was doing. The only light that remained came from the small charcoal stove that burned softly in the corner of her room. Then she would remove her wrapper and tie a black piece of cloth around her waist. Her face changed immediately. Her smile vanished. Her eyes became sharp and cold like that of a wild cat. She would stand in the middle of her small room, her bare feet pressed firmly to the floor, and lift her wrapper high above her head. Her voice would grow deep, and she began to chant in a strange, trembling tone that no one could understand. The room would grow colder. The walls would shake as if something unseen had entered, and then her body would start to tremble. Her eyes would turn bright red, glowing like burning charcoal. Veins stood out on her neck and arms as she groaned painfully, her body twisting like someone fighting a heavy spirit. Suddenly, small white maggots began crawling out from her skin, from her arms, her legs, her back, even her neck. At first, they came out slowly, but within seconds, thousands of them poured out, wet and slippery, falling onto the floor like a stream of rice. The air would fill with a foul smell, a smell that could make an ordinary person faint. But Yabhasirati only smiled. Instantly, all the maggots would begin to move, crawling fast, wriggling and jumping straight into the large pot boiling on her charcoal stove.